Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the OptfinITy webinar series, which is held on the fourth Friday of every month at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, we'll be talking about some of the top productivity apps from this past year that we have identified and tested out, and we'll go through some of those. First, just a couple housekeeping items. One, this webinar is being recorded. And so just keep that aware, even though everyone is muted, so we shouldn't be recording anyone's conversations, but just to let you know, we are in fact recording the webinar. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them as we're going through the app. As you'll notice on the left side of the screen, as you're looking at it, you will have a conversation window with a flashing cursor. You can type in your questions, and when you ask those questions, they'll immediately come up, and we'll see those. And we'll answer them as we see them throughout the presentation. So to get started, a little bit about us. OptfinITy has been around now for 13 years. We were founded in 2002. We are based in the Washington, D.C. metro area. We have clients throughout the United States. And up to now, we've worked with well over 200 clients. Some of the different items that we deal with are IT strategy and assessments. We do this for pretty much every client we work with, where we'll go in and assess their situation and provide a proper solution. We provide managed services, which includes everything from a 24/7 help desk to on-site and on-call support. We do it all for a flat fixed rate. We offer software as well as database development, website development, including popular content management systems such as CMS Works or WordPress, Drupal, .NET Nuke, SharePoint. We do other things within the website arena, including search engine optimization, social media assistance as well. We have a team of mobile app developers developing in the iOS and Android application arena. We currently do not do anything with Windows Mobile and definitely not with BlackBerry. And finally, we also provide phone systems. So, getting started, what we've done is we've pretty much categorized all of the apps that we've got into areas that focus on how they'll improve your business. So to start off with, we're going to talk about calendar apps. And these are apps that can be installed on an iPhone or an Android device, and we've indicated which on each one. And we'll talk about some of the benefits. We're not going to go too in-depth. We do encourage you to download and try out some of these apps for yourself to see if they'll work for you. First app we're going to talk about is Sunrise, originally developed by a private organization, recently acquired by Microsoft. Sunrise is a easier to use calendar application. Some of the benefits you'll notice with Sunrise is that it's a single calendar, but then you can tie in a variety of different accounts. So if you're using Exchange or Google's Gmail calendar or iCloud, what you can do is you can go in there, you set up your email and your calendar so that your calendar syncs to the app. And then you may, for example, want to go into Facebook, where you have reminders of all your friends' birthdays or events from Facebook. Maybe you use Eventbrite to go to a variety of things. You can go in there, select all the items, LinkedIn, all the social media, social networking items, and it will automatically link into the calendar. So basically, it's taking everything you do and putting it into one. Now, a lot of the calendars out there do this that come with the actual phones, but we find that this is a little bit better, a little more streamlined. There are things you can do with it that you can't do with a default calendar. Next item we're going to talk about are to-do lists. We have this in two different areas of the presentation, but the to-do list is basically how can you organize what you're doing, and we have two approaches to this. The first is an actual to-do list itself, and that is Any.Do. They actually have a variety of things. They actually have an Any.Do calendar as well. Not as nice as the Sunrise app. But what this allows you to do is you swipe a task with your finger when you mark it as complete. Say you have a whole bunch of items you just finished and you just want to get them off your screen. You just shake your device and it removes all the completed tasks. You can share your tasks with colleagues and see what's going on. And one of the cool features of it is if you receive a phone call that you can't take and you dismiss the phone call on your phone, it'll automatically pop up and say, do you want to put a return phone call to that person on your to-do list? So again, somebody on the go, somebody who wants to integrate with work and what they need to get done, this is a great application to do so. Another app is this app called Timeful. It's more specific with predictive analytics. It's trying to determine what you do on a regular basis and allow you to schedule your life in a more streamlined way. What it basically does is it asks you what your tasks are, but instead of just putting it on a list that you might never get to, in fact, it will put it into your calendar. It'll realize by integrating with your calendar app that you have space within your calendar that you can you can do something. You can fit into your calendar. So this does that. But what it does in addition is it actually starts predicting when would be a good time and what things you can do on a regular basis within the app. So it's a free app. The only downside to it is it only works on the iOS platform as of right now. But again, if you're using an Apple iPhone or an iPad, I'd definitely suggest taking a look at it. The next area we're going to talk about as it impacts business are your meetings. So we have two of them here. Mighty Meeting, which again, there are a variety of apps out there. In fact, obviously we're using Skype for Business, formerly known as Link, which is a great app. But if you just want to do a presentation, a local presentation, you can manage it by the app. So say you're going into a meeting or a seminar and you want to present it and you don't need to have a mouse or a pointer or something to control that. You can upload your PDFs or your PowerPoint presentation, open them up, link it via the other device that's displaying what the presentation is, and then you can control your slides remotely. The cost depends upon the users. It's not a free application, but there is a freemium version of it. And this platform is available on the web, the Android devices, as well as the Apple devices. This next app is actually a relatively creative app in the way it works. It's called CrowdMics. And what this allows you to do is save a ton of money when you go to a hotel and not have to rent audio-visual equipment. So what basically happens is you need a Wi-Fi access point. So you can pick one of those up for $20 at the local computer store. And this app works with this Wi-Fi device. All the people who have a mobile device connect to this Wi-Fi access point, as do you. You set it up to hook into a local speaker. Again, relatively inexpensive if you're doing this multiple times. And you can make the presentation through this as a microphone. So your phone acts as a microphone. You can run polls. So if you want to ask the audience about a certain question, you can complete that. And it uses Wi-Fi, no internet involved. So there's no internet connection speed. There's no requirement to get an internet connection in order to run the application. It's available on both the Android as well as iOS. And again, the cost depends on the usage. We're the freemium model. Next, we'll talk about finances. In finances, we have a couple of different things we're looking at. So the first one is based on the travel professional. Somebody who's going out, picking up expenses, whether it's cab fare, meals, hotels, and it allows you to scan in your receipts and automatically create an expense report in an Excel or PDF format. It can also directly post your expenses into Inspirity's Expensible. So if you use Inspirity as a provider, into its QuickBooks, Mint, as well as Xero Accounting. It's free for up to 12 expense reports per year. So if you're on a monthly expense plan, this would work well. But it also has an unlimited subscription as well for $99. This app is available on both the Android and iOS. On the other side, where we're talking about the actual finances themselves, we have Mint. Mint itself has been a great app. It was so good that Intuit, the makers of QuickBooks, actually purchased the company. And it's focused on individuals and single business. It basically allows you to take your personal finance accounts, your company finance accounts, and tie it all into one dashboard. Allows you to track your spending, creates a budget. You can categorize your transactions so you know exactly what you're spending. And the best part is that even though it's an internet-based app, you can view all of this offline. You don't need to be connected. This is one of the apps that's available everywhere. You can get it on the web, Android, iOS, as well as Windows phones. And now that BlackBerry actually runs Android, you could probably get it on there as well. Next item I'm going to talk about is something that's more focused on individuals who are doing a lot of networking, so sales professionals or anyone who's in the marketing arena. So the first one here is a relatively new app to us. It's called Human. And what this is basically it allows you to detail how you met people. In fact, LinkedIn recently bought a competitor to this app because it basically allows you to track where people are and what you're doing. So say you travel and you want to know who's in the city, who is, who's called, or people you've talked to. And what basically happening is that it allows you to say, okay, here are all my links. They're in Facebook, they're in LinkedIn. And what happens if I want to know, okay, I'm traveling to New York, who of my contacts are in New York? So in a case like that, you go in there, you can swipe through it, and really it just basically gives you a great demographics on who those people are. And I see a question has come in on the Mint app, and since we've already passed that, I'll go back and talk about that during our question and answer period at the end of the presentation. The next item we're going to talk about is email. Now, everybody who has an app out there, whether it's Apple, whether it's Google, or phone out there, they have a mail client that comes with that phone. So why would we need to show another one? Well, because most of the mail clients out there really are very good. So the one we like out there that's great is Boomerang. Right now, it really only syncs with two platforms, which is Gmail and Exchange, but it does provide an IMAP support if you wanted to use an IMAP account. Some of the benefits of Boomerang is that you can snooze email messages. Now people are saying, why would I want to do that? Well, maybe you get an email that you need to reply to, but you just don't want to deal with now. You don't want to delete it, so you want it in your inbox, but you just don't want to view it. So you snooze it, and it'll come back later. You can schedule messages to be sent later. So that, say you wrote a message, but you know what? You don't want to bother the person right now and want them to get it later. It'll automatically do that. Just as an FYI, if you do utilize an app that does that, realize it's still on the premise that you still have an internet connection. So if you send it scheduled to send later at 2 p.m. and then 2 p.m. you don't have internet, it's not going to go out until you get that connection again. You can track responses to the emails you send, as well as it uses some of the exchange features that you can't get in most mail clients, which is the ability to send as somebody else or access public folders. So Boomerang offers a lot of those features that you can't get in most. It is available on the Android as well as a web, Boomerang Web, which actually is a relatively cool feature. If you don't like the Gmail interface, you can use Boomerang Web to connect to Gmail. Next, we're going to talk about some collaboration apps that are out there. DocuSign is the first one. It's been around for a long time. What basically allows you to do is if you have contracts or agreements that need to be signed, sent, you need to track individuals or how things are being accessed, DocuSign is great for that. I've used it personally many times in real estate transactions as well as others. And basically it gets sent to you, you go in there, you can review things, and you can save your signature so that when you go through it, you can just automatically hit a button and it signs your signature. It's available on Android, iOS, Windows, and in fact, Windows Mobile has an app as well. Asana is a different one. What this allows you to do is it is a server-based app that allows you to work with teammates. So if you're in organizations that have group work and other things like that, and allow you to schedule what's going on, who is responsible to finish that task, when it is. It syncs with your calendar so that things are in there. It syncs with Evernote. And what it allows you to do is really manage projects. It's free for up to 15 people. It's an Android and iOS platform. And definitely, if you do a lot of group work, it's something we would definitely suggest checking out. The next app is some sort of one we sneak in there because it's one of our own products, which is OptfinITy Sync. For those of you familiar with something like OneDrive, Live Drive, Google's Drive, Dropbox, or Box, those are all great products if you're utilizing them to share pictures or things that are not important. If you're really worried about security, I would suggest you consider and take a look at that. In fact, we'll be happy to provide a white paper to anyone who's interested on what some of those concerns are. In the meantime, OptfinITy Sync is an app that's got 448 blowfish encryption, which is DoD level encryption. It's private encryption key management, so there's not one encryption key that most of the other services use. Can remote wipe endpoints. So say you've lost your iPad and all your data is on there, it can be remotely wiped, assuming that somebody has picked it up, turned it on, and still connected to the internet. You can have granular access, say which people can access those items. It provides file sharing. You can multiple folder backup, along with many other things. Again, it's available on Android, iOS, Mac, as well as Windows. Next, we're going to move on to note-taking apps. So this is great for people who are out at a meeting or need to track what they're doing. One great one that I use all the time personally is Google Keep. Basically allows you to create a checklist. You can do it via voice, which is great. So here I am driving along and I have to remember to do some things. I just hit the voice button, list my notes, they come in there, and we're done. When I'm done utilizing the notes, I just swipe my finger to cross it out, and it's great. You can also snap a photo and annotate the photo to remind you that something needs to be done. Everything you do is automatically available on all your devices, so if you set up Google Keep on multiple devices, it syncs along with that. Despite the fact that it is a Google product, it is available on both the Android and Apple platforms. Next item there is Evernote. Evernote is a product that allows you to sync all of your notes across all devices. You can organize your notes by notebooks, by tags. You can search for items. So if you have images, you can search for text within those images. It allows you to add handwriting and sketches to your notes. So basically, notes on your notes. You can even email your notes or save tweets to your Evernote account so you have that. And again, just like Google Keep, it allows you to sync across the different platforms. Cost for a basic Evernote is free. There are paid plans. Again, it's a freemium-based product, but it has a platform on pretty much everything. Android, iOS, BlackBerry. And again, because BlackBerry is also utilizing Android on their latest phones, it's on both of those versions, Windows Phone and desktop, as well as Mac. The only one I don't see there is Linux, so for all I know, it could have one there as well. Okay. Moving along now, we've got a few more apps that we're going to talk about. So the next app here is a news and article app. And so these are apps that if for a business person or somebody in an organization who needs to keep track of news or topics of discussion on a particular topic, area of interest, etc. First app here is Readability. What this is great for is, say somebody sends you a link and you want to read a website, read a web page, read an article. What you can do is basically you install the Readability app. It automatically takes that web page that you're reading and saves it and stores it on the device you're on so you can read it later. So it basically just automatically puts it aside, and then later in the day you can go take a look at it. Or if you're offline, say you have a bunch of articles you want to read and you're heading onto the metro or the plane, you can go on there, sync all your articles you want to read. Then while you're offline, you have access to them. You can customize the reading view, size, type. You can even add articles to your reading list by email. So you find these, you send yourself an email, it automatically links to it. It's great for just tracking the things you don't have time for. Cost for this product, again, the base product is free, and it's available on Android and iOS, as well as through browser extensions like a Chrome extension. Circa takes it to the next level. So here, what Circa is allowing you to do is before you had the articles, you found what you wanted to read, you'd store them and put them up there. What Circa is doing is it's actually following the news for you. So you go in there and you can select the topics of areas you want to read about. And it will just automatically pull down some of that information. It basically goes and it follows the headlines, and it'll even look for articles that might match the type of articles you're already reading. And then once you read something and you find something of interest, or you put in a topic and it brings up that topic of interest, what it allows you to do is automatically follow that. So anything that comes out that's updated on that topic. So there's a news item going on, you get this you say, all right, I want to find out more, and then the next time a new update comes out, it automatically provides that update through the app. Okay, as we're moving along, the next category we're going to talk about is more on the functionality, and this is more things you would do on a day-to-day basis in terms of business apps. First one here is Google Now. I've got mixed feelings on Google Now. When it works great. On occasionally, it has a little bug and says can't find it. But what Google Now is that it basically is a voice-triggered input. So if you have an iOS, it's obviously Siri. If you're using the Microsoft platform, Cortana. But basically, what I like about it is it takes it to the next level. So not only is it, okay, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to ask what happened with the Washington Nationals last night. It's going to bring up, well, first it's going to bring up the fact that they didn't play last night. But then it's going to bring up what the previous score was and when the next game is. As part of that, it's automatically going to create a profile, and in the Google Now page that comes up, it's actually going to keep that there. So every time a new update occurs or a game's played, it's automatically going to tell me that. It's also going to bring in maps of where I'm going to. It's going to bring in cards that relate to what I have to do in my calendar and things like that. So basically, Google is automatically, besides the fact that it's running your life through everything else that it does, but it's automatically going through and adding what is relevant based on what it believes. And sadly but true, Google is pretty good at picking up what it is you need information on. The next productivity app we're going to talk about is word processing. And as you can imagine, if we go to word processing, I'm talking about Quick Office here. Yes, the Microsoft apps that are out there are very, very good. They tend to be a little bit too detailed, too many bells and whistles. I prefer Quick Office. It's an app. It's again, it is a free app. It does have features you can purchase, but it allows you to create and edit Word, Excel, and PowerPoint files. It integrates with Google Drive as well as other drives, as opposed to the Microsoft platform, where if you're using a third-party file service, it does not integrate with those. It is starting to make agreements with companies like Dropbox and Box, but if you're utilizing a other type of file system within your mobile device, you cannot do that with Quick Office. It just looks to see what files are in your device. But it also works well with Google Drive in addition to others. One of the benefits, one of the uses of ease that I like is if you're working on a document and you want to send an email with it, it instantly allows you to attach a file to an email, and it's just very streamlined. This is also available on the Android and iOS platform. Okay, the last one I believe we're getting to today, and again, we've gone through about 16, 17 different apps, but this last one we're going to talk about is a travel app, and there are a lot of those out there. This one here is TripIT. What TripIT allows you to do is take all of your information, okay, your hotel, your airline, your car rentals. This is great for people who are traveling for work, and even restaurant confirmation emails, and you send it to plans@tripit.com. When you set up an account with TripIT itself, it recognizes your email. As soon as it receives an email from your address, it automatically adds it into one streamlined travel application. And then, once it's all streamlined and it puts in literally the directions you need, the maps, the weather for each destination, it then syncs that trip plans with your Google Calendar or your Outlook so that everything is tied together. The Pro version, and this is a freemium version of an app again, the Pro version of the app gives you all that power that you get with TripIT, but now it actually will tie in real-time flight alerts, a seat tracker, flight finders, point trackers, so it'll tie everything into all of your travel. So for example, if you are trying to catch a flight and instantly the flight has been delayed, it'll show up. If you want to track how many points you're getting for your frequent flyers, you can tie that in as well. So again, and it's only $49 a year, so it's relatively very affordable. It's available on the Android, the iOS, BlackBerry, Windows, and web. And so at this point, we'll move to questions. Again, we've got a couple of questions, but the first question came from about the application Mint. If you remember, Mint was the financial application, and the question is, how secure are the applications themselves? There'll be obviously some questions about two things you have to worry about. First is, if you have a phone or a mobile device, regardless of what you think is stored on there, it is highly recommended that you do two things. One is you have a password, and it's not a 4-digit number password that anybody who is walking by can see you input. Second is you should set up your phone to be encrypted. And it's a feature that's available in all Android phones, all iOS phones in the last 3 years. But what that'll allow you to do is so that if somebody grabs that data, you'd need that. If you work in financial industry, medical with HIPAA compliance, or any of those, you need to do that by law anyways. Going back to that, Mint itself is an app. It runs off of what's called a secure socket layer. And so what that is when you go to any website and you type in HTTPS, it automatically pulls up a certificate. That certificate basically says from your point to its point, everything in between is encrypted. And while encryption itself is not a foolproof, it's not something that's easily cracked. So the apps themselves are secure. And there's always the ability somebody to be able to hack into it, but you're having a secure connection from yourself to the server. But should you lose your phone, that's where you're really going to have a concern or a question about whether or not your data is secure. But from my perspective, if you've password protected, encrypted your phone, and you use an app like Mint, which is now owned by Intuit, I don't see any reason why you should be concerned about being secure. There's a question about whether or not there are other apps that do the same functionalities. And yes, of course there are. These apps are not necessarily the best. We're not warranting these apps. We're just saying in our day-to-day basis, we have not seen other apps that are as good as these. This changes on a regular basis. In fact, we had done an app just recently where we were about to put in the presentation. I talked about this app literally 2 months ago. The presentation I provided, I did in person, and that app was purchased by LinkedIn. They took the technology from the app, and then the app itself was disabled. This all occurred in the last 30 days, and that app was purchased by LinkedIn. So apps are changing all the time. There's new ones coming out, and we update this on a regular basis. So is there any other questions that we can answer at this time? And again, there's a question, and another question came in. But just so you're aware, again, for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, we are in fact recording this webinar. We will put it up to our YouTube channel so you can come back and see anything that you may have missed. There was a question about maps. There are a variety of mapping applications out there. You've got Google Maps, you have the Apple Maps. Google Maps is by far superior to Apple Maps, but the question is, what do you need for a map perspective? If you're looking just for driving directions, then Google Maps is great. If you're looking for an app that's going to not only give you driving directions, but route you around traffic, then I'd suggest that you look at Waze, which is W-A-Z-E. It was an Israeli startup company that was purchased by Google about 1.5 years ago. And the benefit of Waze is that while it not only takes traffic information from the traffic cameras that Google uses, it is a social media application where you can actually interact with other drivers. You can pick your own little icon, see where they are. But more importantly is other drivers are going in there and indicating if there is a traffic tie-up, if the weather all of a sudden got bad, if there's a police officer up ahead. I know none of us are going to speed, but just in case, I can let you know that they're there. So Waze is a great app. I would definitely suggest that. I don't see any other questions, so just a couple other items we'll talk about. As I said at the beginning, we have a monthly seminar and monthly webinar. Our seminars are always based in the Fairfax area, Fairfax, Virginia. They are going to be, it's a lunch and learn. We provide free lunch. You come, you learn. And those are available and will be on our website. You can sign up and then link to Eventbrite. And then, of course, on the 4th Friday of every month, we do a webinar just like we're doing today. So next month, our webinar is going to be on remote access solutions and things you can do to connect remotely to your organization. And then our lunch and learn for next month is going to be on mobile app development. So if you're looking for information about mobile apps, how to create them, what the process is, what those costs are, we'll be having a discussion on that. And again, that is in Fairfax, Virginia. I don't see any other questions, so I'll give it another 30 seconds if there are no other questions at this time. I do thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. And again, this will be recorded and put up on our YouTube channel within the next week or so. So, doesn't appear to be any other questions. Again, thank you all for attending today's webinar, and have a wonderful and reflective holiday weekend.